The video had been live for less than 12 hours, but the city was already boiling. News vans clogged the street outside the precinct. Commentators argued on TV about systemic rot and a rogue chief. Social media wasn't just watching, it was hunting. Marcus King sat in a corner of the Internal Affairs conference room. Free, but not free. Because even though the cuffs were gone, he knew what came next wouldn't just be a fight with Chief Daniels. It would be a war with the system that made Daniels possible. Across the table, Chief Daniels looked like a man balancing on thin ice. His polished shoes tapped the floor, his jaw clenched. His eyes darted anywhere but Marcus. Internal Affairs had been on him all morning. Where did the drugs come from? Why target Marcus King? What about the missing evidence funds? Daniels answered each question with the skill of a man who had lied his entire career. But every now and then, a name slipped from his lips. Captain Rourke. Marcus didn't know Rourke, never heard of him. But from the way Daniels tensed every time the name came up, Marcus could feel it. This wasn't just a name. This was the hand pulling Daniels' strings. And Marcus? He'd learned something in the past 24 hours. When you pull one string hard enough, the whole knot comes loose. The problem was, the box was gone. The cash, the drugs, the ledger, all vanished during that blackout the night before. Internal Affairs was calling it a security breach. Marcus called it what it was, a cleanup job. Without that box, the case against Daniels was weaker. Sure, the video proved the frame-up, but without the other evidence, Daniels could claim it was a personal grudge gone wrong. And Marcus knew the system loved to salvage its own. He couldn't just wait for IA to solve it. If Daniels' friends could make a box of evidence disappear from a locked police station, they could make witnesses disappear too. That's when Marcus made a decision. He'd go after Rourke himself. He stepped out into the hall and called Jaden. The kid's voice came through quick, bright, a little too eager. Uncle Marcus, you seeing the news? You're everywhere. Yeah, Marcus said, keeping his voice low. But I need you to do something else. Pull every file you can on a man named Captain Rourke. Police records, press releases, even social media. If it's public, I want it. Jaden hesitated. You think he's the one who... I think Daniels is just the front man, Marcus cut in. And I think Rourke is the one I really need to worry about. When Marcus went back into the conference room, the lead IA investigator, Morales, pulled him aside. You've made powerful enemies, she said plainly. People who don't like sunlight. People who erase it. Marcus met her eyes. I've been underestimated before. Morales didn't smile. She just handed him her card. Call me before you do anything stupid. That night, Marcus walked the long way home. Old instincts told him not to go straight from one safe place to another. Switch your route. Check your shadow. Don't make it easy for whoever might be following. Sure enough, 3 blocks from his apartment, he spotted the reflection of headlights in a shop window. Too slow to be casual, too steady to be random. He ducked into an alley. The car stopped at the mouth. 2 silhouettes got out. They didn't come close. One of them just set a manila envelope on the ground, then both turned back to the car. No words, no threats. Just the kind of quiet that speaks louder than shouting. Marcus waited until the taillights vanished before picking it up. Inside, a single photo. Grainy. Zoomed in from far away. It was Jaden. At school, laughing with his friends. On the back, scrawled in red marker, "Stop digging." Marcus sat in his apartment staring at the photo. He'd been in fights before, on the court, in the streets, in courtrooms. But this wasn't just his life anymore. This was family. For a second, he thought about walking away. Let IA handle it. Let Daniels and Rourke rot on their own timeline. Then he thought about the kids at the rec center, the ones who saw him in cuffs, the ones who needed to know that a setup didn't have to be the end of your story. And just like that, the decision was made. The next morning, Marcus met with the journalist who broke the video story. She was already digging into Rourke. "Man's a ghost," she said. "Barely any photos. Last public appearance was 3 years ago. But there's a rumor he's running some kind of off-the-books task force." Marcus frowned. Off the books usually meant off the law. The journalist slid him a flash drive. "Everything I've got so far, just be careful. If Rourke's real, he's not the kind of man you catch by surprise. He's the kind who sees you coming a mile away." That night, Marcus plugged in the flash drive. Dozens of files appeared. Property records, leaked memos, incident reports. Half of them redacted into black rectangles. But one file stood out. A photo. Recent. It was Rourke, and he wasn't alone. Standing next to him, shaking his hand, was Morales, the same internal affairs investigator who warned Marcus about making enemies. Marcus's chest tightened, because if Morales was in on it, then the whole investigation was a trap. The courtroom felt smaller today. Not physically, just tighter, like the walls had leaned in, eager to swallow the truth before it could breathe. Raymond Alton sat at the defense table, his suit sharper than his smirk. His eyes found Darius Cole the way a predator studies prey, not out of hunger, but to remind the prey it had no chance. Maya sat 2 rows behind her husband. She wasn't blinking. She wasn't moving. She was holding herself still because she knew one crack, one tear, and the whole dam inside her might break. The prosecution's case had been a slow burn. Paper trails, witness accounts, photos no one wanted to see twice. And now, the final witness. Special Agent Rivera took the stand. Her voice was crisp, her tone calculated. "We intercepted communications tying Mr. Alton to offshore accounts used to funnel illicit funds to shell corporations," she said. Her eyes never left the jury. "He's been hiding in plain sight, and he's been paying people to look away." The defense attorney rose like a man who believed the floor owed him support. "Agent Rivera, is it true the majority of your so-called evidence was obtained without a warrant?" Rivera didn't flinch. "Incorrect. Every document we have was secured through lawful means." "But," the lawyer let the pause hang, savoring it like a chef with his best spice. Several witnesses have since retracted their statements. Some claim coercion. Rivera's jaw set. People retract statements when they're afraid, and fear, in this case, is proof. The jury shifted. The judge's gavel tapped once, a warning. Darius watched it all, silent, scribbling notes. He'd been in enough trials to know facts weren't the only things on trial. Believability was, and right now, the air was thick with doubt. When the lunch recess came, Maya followed him into the hallway. Her voice was low, almost a whisper. "They're getting to the jury, Darius. I can feel it." He leaned close. "They've been getting to the jury since day one. Our job is to give them something louder than fear." Maya studied him for a second. The lines at the corners of his eyes seemed deeper now, carved by years of battles no one else would fight. "You're not just going to win this, are you?" she asked. "You're going to break him." Darius didn't answer. He didn't need to. The afternoon session began with an unexpected turn. "The prosecution calls Talia Monroe." A stir rolled through the courtroom. Talia stepped forward in a dark coat, eyes sharp but cautious. Darius had met her only once, long enough to know she was carrying more than her own safety on her back. She took the oath and sat. Her voice was soft, but it carried. "I worked for Raymond Alton's company for 9 years. I saw money moved, documents shredded, people paid to disappear." The defense attorney shot up. "Objection, Your Honor, hearsay." The judge frowned. "Overruled. Continue." Talia swallowed. "I came forward once before. The next day, I found my car burned. My brother was followed home. Her voice cracked. She steadied herself. "I stayed silent for years because I was afraid. But then I realized fear is exactly how he wins." Her words landed like heavy stones. For the first time all day, Raymond Alton's smirk faltered. When closing arguments came, Darius rose slowly, letting the silence work for him. He spoke to the jury, but his words were meant for the entire room. Raymond Alton has built an empire on one truth. That power isn't about what you can prove. It's about what you can make people too afraid to prove. He buys silence. He buys loyalty. He buys time. But today, he's run out of it. The law is not perfect. It bends, it sways. Sometimes it even breaks. But the people who serve it, you, have the final say. You can tell the world that money wins. Or you can tell the world that justice is not for sale. He let the last sentence hang before taking his seat. The jury deliberated for hours. Maya and Darius waited side by side, saying little. Talia paced the hallway. Rivera sat still, hands folded, eyes scanning the door. When the jury finally filed back in, every breath in the courtroom seemed to hold itself. "On the charge of racketeering, we find the defendant guilty. On the charge of money laundering, guilty. On the charge of conspiracy to commit murder," a pause, "guilty." Raymond Alton's face hardened into something between rage and disbelief. The judge ordered him into immediate custody. 2 marshals moved in. Alton leaned toward Darius as they cuffed him. "This isn't over," he hissed. Darius didn't blink. "It is for you." Outside the courthouse, the press swarmed. Cameras flashed, microphones reached. Rivera made her statement. Talia disappeared into a waiting car, and Darius and Maya stood on the courthouse steps, looking out at a crowd that wanted answers. "Do you think it's really over?" Maya asked quietly. Darius stared past the cameras. "Number, but it's enough to give people hope." They walked down the steps together. Behind them, the courthouse doors swung shut, and across the street, half hidden in the shadow of a black SUV, a man in a dark suit and black gloves watched them leave. His face unreadable, his presence unshakable. The same man who had been there the day Raymond Alton rose to power. The same man who had never been on any official record. He stepped into the SUV. The engine started, and the vehicle rolled away. That was the last time Darius and Maya saw him. For now, truth will always outlast deception. No matter how carefully lies are built or how much power protects them, justice has a way of finding the cracks. Standing for what's right may cost comfort, friends, or even safety, but it also builds a legacy of courage. When good people refuse to stay silent, even the most untouchable corruption can fall.